Very warm welcome to you all. I am Vijay Sir. I am the faculty of history here at L2A. Welcome to this continuing series on from excavations to headlines. So we are going to discuss about 4 more sites today, that is, which made it to the headlines. So today we are going to discuss about the new Neolithic site and rock painting site found in Goa. Okay, so we will talk about this site today. This is Moxie Neolithic site. So as you can see, not many of the sites or excavations have happened in Goa and especially down south, but we find this Moxie Neolithic site and also it is a rock painting site. So the geographical specificity of this site is that it is located in the Moxie Gram Panchayat or Gram village in the Sattari Taluk of North Goa district. Sattari Taluk of North Goa district. North Goa district. And also it is located on the dry river bed, Jarme river, dry river bed, that is known as Jarme river. Jarme river bed. So that is the geographical specificity, and it is in the North Goan district bordering Maharashtra and Karnataka. Okay. So now what is this specific about this site? What is so significant about this site is, generally 20 years back there was this kind of a grassroots enthusiasts or heritage or cultural protection site. So they were they were taking a kind of a parikrama to enlighten or exploring the geographical area of Goa especially, and also they stumbled upon a cave, and near that cave face they were able to see some paintings which they have intimated to the Archaeological Society of India. But however, it made it to the news in the last 1 year. Why? Because it is important of Neolithic, setting the example for the Neolithic rock art. Okay. So let us see what was found here. So the important findings here is the zebu. This is known as zebu. And not only that, 20 such etchings have been found on the rock, basalt rock. The important significance is that it is found on the face of the cave, on mega basalt rock. Mega basalt rock. So we find some 20 such etchings. We say etchings because when this is a kind of a technique that is used for prehistoric rock, so depicting pictures. So zebu is one thing which was commonly found here and which is of large. If you can see, zebu is this. This is also very common in India because it is known as Bos Taurus indicus. Bos Taurus indicus. Okay. So that is one thing, and other bovine animals were also found here. What other bovine animals? We had antelopes, we have other bovine animals also found in this Moxie Neolithic rock art. So these are some of the antelopes, deers which were found, and even certain cattle also were found here in this Moxie rock art. Okay. Another significant findings in this Moxie area is that you find this semi-hemispherical or the cup-shaped cupules. It's called as cupules. Cupules. Cupules are semi-hemispherical or cup-shaped depressions in the rocks. So, the exact reason of these cupules are not known. Some say it might belong to some, religious cult or some magical cult. But the thing is that they can also be of some astronomical purpose. Certain archaeologists say that. But we are not very sure what was the purpose of this cupules. So, but as in it is a standard feature of the Neolithic cave paintings or archaeological findings. Wherever there was Neolithic cave paintings or some kind of a significant archaeological finds, you find these cupules all across the world. So, this is another significant finds in the Moxie Neolithic rock art site. So, that is all about your Moxie. So, to summarize Moxie Neolithic rock art site, first of all we need to give a description in one line on the geographical specificity that it is located in the Moxie village in Sattari Taluka of North Goa district bordering Karnataka and Maharashtra. Okay, that is the first sentence. Second thing is, it is 20 rock paintings were etched on the mega basaltic rock on the face of a cave. So, that you need to mention as a second line. So, the important depictions were cattle, especially the zebu or the Indian cattle known as Bos indicus, Taurus indicus, and other along with other bovine animals, and also some human representation. The third thing which we need to mention is, another significant find is the cupules of nearly, which is the representative of the Neolithic settlements. So, this is what you need to write on the Moxie rock art which was in the news recently. Additionally, you can also mention that it belongs to the Neolithic age. So, Neolithic age, especially if you see, look at it, in Neolithic age in India, especially in South India, it belong to some 2400 BCE. 2400 BCE. Another important aspect where you can mention on the Moxie, rock etchings is that it uses the bruising technology, bruising technique. Bruising technique, which means that you repeatedly beat with some kind of a stone on the rock, so that find drawing an outline. So, you repeatedly strike on certain rock portions like this to create a kind of an image or kind of an outline, so that the picture is depicted. So, the technique is bruising technique. So, that is all about Moxie rock art. Before we go into the next site, talking about menhirs, so let us understand the prehistory chronology. Okay, that is very important, because somewhere you need to, because we always talk, the teachers always talk in terms of, or the historians, wherever you find, you study in your books, especially the standard books, 3rd century BCE or the first millennium BCE, something like that. But you need to understand prehistoric period in India, especially the chronology of prehistoric period in India, is divided into 3. Okay, So now let us know about this chronology. First thing is this prehistory. Why prehistory? Because there was no written records and only we had to depend upon the tool technology to determine whether it is Paleolithic, Mesolithic or Neolithic. Paleo means old, Lithic means stone technology. So, it is all about based on the tool technology we determine whether it is prehistory or protohistory or historical period. Historical period means where we have the written records, that is why it is known as historical period, and protohistory because we have some kind of a script but we are unable to depict it, that is why it is known as protohistory, especially the Indus Valley civilization. Okay, so here prehistory is divided into the Paleolithic period. Paleolithic, Paleolithic is somewhere from in India, especially from 6 lakhs or 5 lakh BC to 1.5 BCE is known as, again it is divided into old, middle and upper. So this Paleolithic again is divided into old, middle and upper. So the old Paleolithic is somewhere from 6 lakh to 1.5 BCE, okay, and the middle Paleolithic is from 1.5 lakh to 36,000 BCE. Okay, the upper Paleolithic is from 36,000 BCE to 10,000 BCE. Okay, so majority of the Neolithic, majority of the cave paintings, the cave art or the rock art or rock paintings have emerged from the upper Paleolithic period. Okay, so from then comes your Mesolithic period, then it is Mesolithic. Mesolithic is somewhere between 10,000 to 4,000 BCE. Okay, so 10,000 in some parts, especially the northwestern parts, and coming to the east and the south, it is somewhere we find even till 4,000 BCE the Mesolithic period began, it culminated. Then you have Neolithic period, that is somewhere from 7,000 BCE and even till 1000 BCE we find the Neolithic settlements and the tools especially belonging to the Neolithic period were found even in the South India and Eastern India. So 7000 BC is the representative example where Mehagar, earlier settlement of Neolithic age, is from Mehagar, and even in certain south, especially in Kerala and even eastern part of Bengal. So we find a Neolithic settlement till 1000 BCE. So when I am talking about Neolithic rock art of Moxie, it is somewhere 2000 BCE, especially in north, the northern part of the south, especially the Maharashtra and even the Telangana area. It is north, north part of the Deccan Plateau where you find the Neolithic settlements from 2400 BCE. See, that is why Moxie can be placed in around 2400 BCE. So please remember this chronology, because we only mention teachers or in the standard books only talk about Neolithic age in India, Mesolithic age in India, Upper Paleolithic. That means correspondingly you need to remember this age bracket, okay, the chronological bracket where the entire Paleolithic period starts from 6 lakhs BCE to 10,000 BCE. Again, this Paleolithic period is divided into 3, that is lower Paleolithic or the old, I said, it's also known as the lower Paleolithic period, then middle Paleolithic and upper Paleolithic. So the lower Paleolithic is from 6 lakhs to 1.5 BCE, and the middle is from 1.5 BCE to 1.5 lakh BCE to 36,000 BCE, and from 36,000 BCE to 10,000 BCE is the upper Paleolithic, and the rock art or the rock paintings emerged in this period. Okay, Upper Paleolithic and Mesolithic period, where Bhimbetka especially, Bhimbetka, Azamgarh, and even in many other parts. So the cave paintings or the cave art was found from Upper to Mesolithic period and continued. There was a cultural continuation from then onwards. So the Moxie sort which we just looked at is belonging to this Neolithic period. Okay, that is somewhere around 2400 BCE. Okay. Then let's get into the next site which made it to the headlines. Sorry. So this is, we are talking about Vodala Mallanna Swami temple near Ullampalli. You know, it's in Ullampalli. It's a religious place at present now, Mallanna temple belonging to Lord Shiva. So, but we find here is some kind of a rock painting. Okay, Iron Age rock painting. Rock painting as well as menhir. So, the geographical specificity of this Vodala Mallanna temple or Ullampalli rock painting site, you know, is located in the Siddipet district of Telangana. Siddipet district of Telangana near Mallanna Swami temple. Okay. So, that is a specificity. On the rock surface, you know, on the rock surface you find some you find this painting, you know, this is also is very important because this site was recently discovered or, you know, found by Kotta Telangana Charitra Brundam. They are also grassroots enthusiasts and they made lot of discoveries in the recent past, that is 1-2 years, going village to village, from forest to forest, exploring caves and major rocks, you know, because Deccan, especially Telangana, is known for its natural Deccan, you know, rock formations and caves. Near the caves, when you find, you know, certain kind of a symbols or a paintings associated, they become aware of, you know, this belongs to some significance and they have intimated to the Archaeological Survey of India. So once they take up, they will determine the age and also its significance. But according as it was made it to the headlines, I wanted to discuss this site also because they might ask. So what we find here is that this belongs to, you know, a kind of a cattle which you can see there is horns, you know, but there is no hump. There is no hump here. And it is, you know, it is very large, you know, 3 kind of cattle have been represented in Ullampalli archaeological site. Ullampalli archaeological site, where this is Bos primogeneus. Bos primogeneus. So, Bap of all cattle is Bos primogeneus. Why it is, you know, why is this very significant is because, you know, this is the, you know, this is the original cattle from where 2 divisions have been taken, divided into 2. Basically, Bos primogeneus. This is Bos taurus and Bos indicus. Bos indicus. So, Bos primogeneus means it is the earliest of the, you know, the cattle breeds from where 2 distinctions have emerged. One is the Bos Taurus, which is commonly found in European nations, where there is no hump, and here Bos Indicus, where usually there is a hump. So that is the biggest difference between this cattle. And this Bos Fromigenes is representative here in this Ullampalli rock art, where these, it is, carved, it also used the bruising technique. Bruising technique, where it has been etched by repeatedly beating to form an outline and depict a picture. So it means the ancient origins. Even this rock art might even belong to the Mesolithic and even Upper Paleolithic period, but the exact determinant, the age cannot be determined, because Archaeological Survey of India has not yet taken up. It was discovered by a local enthusiast, who were all retired teachers and from officers, some officers from the the history department. All those people formed a group and excavated. So this one, and intimated to the ASI. But it might belong to the Mesolithic period. There was a cultural continuity. Even if you see cultural continuity, there is this menhir located outside the Mallana temple. As you all know, menhir belong to the Iron Age, especially the megalithic burials, and it is a 14 feet huge menhir. Underneath are the burial good graves, grave goods, where iron objects have been found, and it is just opposite the temple. So indicating that there was some kind of a religious and cultural continuity, and this was of some important significant place right from the ancient times till the modern time. Okay. So that is all about Ullampalli archaeological site. Now coming to the another site that we are going to look at, and which made it to the headlines, is the Konkan coast. This Konkan coast is very significant, especially with regard to geoglyphs and petroglyphs. What are they? Geoglyphs and petroglyphs. Before we get into the site, let me explain you what is geoglyph and what is petroglyphs. Okay. Geoglyph. Geoglyphs and petroglyphs. So geoglyphs is anything which is carved on the surface of the earth by removing certain part of the material on the rock surfaces of the earth, or placing it with some contrasting material or rocks for depiction of certain motifs or some kind of a pictures, is known as geoglyphs. It is usually on the surface of the earth by defacing certain portion of the rock on the surface of the earth, or by replacing it with some contrasting soil or material to form a picture or a kind of a motif, is known as geoglyphs. So it is somewhere, it is from meters to kilometers. So there were certain huge geoglyphs, or the Inca Aztec lines. As you can see, if you Google it, you will find Inca Aztec lines, which were from few meters to even kilometers. So from an aerial point of view, you can observe the geoglyphs. So in such a precision and a large scale precision, they were able to, the Incas were able to create certain motifs or pictures on the surface of the earth. And from an aerial point of view, you will be able to better observe these things. So when the satellites were sent into the earth, the earth's orbit and into the space, they were able to find certain lines and certain pictures. So they have actually told us about the Inca Aztec lines. But how certain ancient civilizations were able to draw such pictures on the surface of the earth with such a great precision is even mystery to us. So, geoglyphs are some meters to kilometers it is there, but especially in the Konkan coast, you find these geoglyphs which are huge in number, not extending to the kilometers, but in a few meters it was stretched. Okay, so that is geoglyphs. Then petroglyphs use the same technique, but they are more smaller in size. It means that you carve certain portion of the rock surface on or a boulder to create an image or a motif that becomes a petroglyph, which is in small inches to meter or centimeters to meter, in small in scale. Generally the prehistoric men used to etch by using a bruising technology, or as I just told you, bruising technology or pecking method, pecking. It means that you repeatedly strike with a hammerhead or a hammerhead stone on the surface of the rock or a boulder to create an image is known as pecking. So, petroglyphs are smaller in size on a rock boulders or on the face of the earth, or on a, it can be observed from the, from a ground level. But geoglyphs cannot be observed from a ground level because it is huge in size. You need to have an elevated point or an aerial view to better appreciate the pictures. So, these are known as geoglyphs and petroglyphs. So, the Konkan coast especially was in use in the recent past. Why? Because this petroglyphs of Chave Dawood, this site, especially some 210 square meters, have been declared as a protected site, in this area. Chave Dawood by the Maharashtra government under the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act of 1960. So, in India, the act is same, the Indian Monuments and Ancient Remains Protection Sites Act of 1957, and based on Maharashtra government has declared it according to its state government. So, around 210 square meters or square kilometers have been declared here as a protected site. So, square meter, sorry, only this much. But the significance of this entire Konkan coast is that there are some 1500 geoglyph and petroglyph sites, 1500 sites in especially entire Konkan coast, right from Ratnagiri to Sindhudurg and even the northern Goa district. The entire 3 districts altogether combined is 900 kilometers. 900 kilometers coastline. 900 kilometer coastline, of which 1500, it's especially Ratnagiri is housing, some 70 odd sites. 70 odd sites in Ratnagiri. So this, out of which 7 sites have been declared as a tentative protection list under UNESCO. 7 sites. UNESCO. So what are these 7 sites are important, because which made it to the list is the petroglyphs of Chave Dawood is from the north we are starting, petroglyphs of Chave Dawood, then Uksi petroglyph site, then Jamburan petroglyphs here, and you have the Heritage Museum, Konkan Geoglyphs and Petroglyphs Heritage Site. There is a center there. Then coming down south you have Keshali here, then you have Rande, Rundetali petroglyph site and Devi Hasol. Then coming down south, you have the Barsu petroglyph site here and Devachi Gautane. So these are the 7 sites which made it to the tentative list of UNESCO. And so once they get the, once they made it to the UNESCO final list, they will get some protection and heritage conversion, kind of a conservative effects will be taken place. So, but this entire coast is very important. And another reason why this was in news, because especially this area near Keshali, they wanted to give it to an oil refinery. So once there was once the government gives it to some kind of an oil refinery, then the entire landscape will be destroyed. So there was some kind of a protest and representation to the Archaeological Survey of India that not to give it to some oil refinery where it will deface and kind of spoil the entire landscape, and this huge prehistoric sites will be destroyed along with it. So that is why it made it to the headlines. But what is important here is this entire coastline, and any one site might be asked in your CSE 2025 history paper 1, very important. So whether it is petroglyphs of Chave Dawood, which was protected under the Maharashtra Monuments Act, 200 square meters, then Jambuharan is important, then Oxy is important, then you have Keshali, then Devi Hasol, Rundetali, then you have Barsu petroglyphs and Deviche Gautane. And especially this Barsu is important because it is the largest geoglyphs and petroglyph sites. Some 63 carvings have been found here, 63 geoglyphs have been found here. Okay. So let us see which are those pictures. You see this figure, you find a rhinoceros. You find a rhinoceros here, on the carved on the surface of the earth, and this is a geoglyph, and this is a geoglyph. You find it in Keshali. Okay. Then you find the human depiction, human and 2 tigers. It's not very clear here, but the thing is this, from an aerial point of view, we go there, we might appreciate that. So this is a human stretching out his arms, and there are 2 tigers confronting him. So this is known from Barsu area. Okay. So this elephant, the largest in South Asia, this largest elephant geoglyph is found in, this Barsu area also, and also in, then where did we see that? Here. And then Uxi, you also find this largest elephant. Then you find this Bandar or Langur, kind of a thing. And also, if you appreciate, this is a marine creature. Especially in Rundetali, you find petroglyphs of depicting these marine animals, especially stingrays, some kind of a dolphin or a whale. Okay, and also some kind of a jellyfish were also found on the Rundetali petroglyph site. So all those sites are very important because which made it to the headlines for good reasons as well as bad reasons. Okay. So it depicts, and the time period of this Konkan petroglyphs, especially in Ratnagiri, is placed around some 20,000 BCE to 10,000 BCE. Okay. So 20,000, when I am talking about 20,000, it belongs to upper Paleolithic period and continued till the Mesolithic period. And also by the depiction of by the depiction of animals and human representation, we can say that it belonged to the hunter-gatherer stage, hunter and gatherer stage. Hunter-gatherer stage, where the humans are confronting the wild animals, especially the tiger. He stretched out his arms, trying to protect himself, or waging with him. And also you find mention of various marine animals representing the coastal line, as well as their interaction and their hunting of marine animals. Okay, and also you find representation of a rhino, one-horned rhino. So it means that it is just not confined to Kaziranga and northern the parts of Nepal, but the rhino is found throughout the Indian subcontinent, even right up to the Western Ghats. So this becomes very important to us. So this is all about the petroglyphs and geoglyph site of Konkan coast, especially in Ratnagiri districts. And you place it somewhere around 2000, 20,000 BCE to 9,000 BCE, and they made it to the news because of an oil refinery which they wanted to establish, but it was halted, and certain sites, 7 sites made it to the tentative list of the UNESCO, which are Barsu, Dawood, Chave Dawood, then Jamburan, Oksi, then your Keshali, Rundetali, Devi Hasol, Barsu and Devachne Gotne. So all these sites are very important, and they might ask any one of them, and remember them in in this order from north to south. So that will give you some understanding, and you will be able to mark them correctly. And this is very important. So coming to the next site, that is also Ratnagiri. Yes, Ratnagiri, Hill of Jewels. Ratnagiri site was also in use, and this Ratnagiri is a place, archaeological Buddhist site excavated after 60 years. Initially, before 60 years, there was some kind of an excavation where we found Buddhist sites, some stupas and Buddhist sculpture. But now in the last 1 year, we have the government, the Archaeological Survey of India has excavated in the Ratnagiri hills, the Hill of Jewels in Jajpur district of Odisha. So let us see where is it located. The geographical specificity is that, okay. So this is Odisha, this is Bhubaneswar, and this place is just 100 kilometers on the north of Bhubaneswar. There is this place called Ratnagiri Hills. Ratnagiri Hills, it is kind of a diamond triangle of Buddhist ancient sites. Okay, and one side it is Lalitagiri, and the other side is the Ratnagiri and Udayagiri. So three Buddhist sites have been excavated in this area, but very recently the Ratnagiri made it to the headlines because 3 colossal Buddhist Buddha head have been excavated. So this huge colossal Buddhist head, 1.5 meters, 1.4 to 1.5 meters have been excavated. 3 colossal Buddha heads. Huge. So, and you see this, the representation of Buddha's head, it was in, the hair is in circles, kind of the curly head, which is indicative of the Gandhara Greek, Indo-Greek style of sculpture belonging to the Gandhara period. So it makes it important, and the time period of this is especially from the 5th century BCE to 13th century AD, sorry, AD or CE. 5th 13th century CE, and out of which, you know, the Bhaumakaras of Orissa, the Bhaumakaras of Odisha from 8th to 11th century CE, this site flourished. The site flourished during the Bhaumakara reign in Odisha, especially during the 8th and 11th. So, and you know, it also depicts one other significance is that it changed from Mahayana Buddhism to Vajrayana Buddhism. Mahayana to Vajrayana Buddhism. So, the importance of this site, Ratnagiri Hills, it was excavated 60 years after, before, after 60 years, and we found 3 colossal Buddha heads and flourished during the 8th and 11th century, especially from 5th to 13th, out of which, under the Bhaumakaras, the site or the place was a Buddhist center, and you also find a kind of a chaitya, well structured layout, and the depictions on the Jataka tales is here mentioned here. And so, especially the site significance is that it is located in Jajpur district, Birupa, between Birupa and Baitarani river in Odisha, 100 kilometers north of Bhubaneswar. So, this is all about today's important sites. Tomorrow we are going to take up the rest of the sites. Thank you.